week, but we just want you to start connecting. So while we're waiting, we want the audience to start engaging, start sharing, because we have a magical show again today, and we want to make sure that everybody's tuned in and sharing the video. I'm your host, Dr. Sherelle Hobson, and I'm your student athlete resilience coach. I'm an international speaker and author. I've had the honor of writing two books, Seams of Gold and Discovering Beauty and Brokenness, as well as Unleashing Your Full Potential. And I really enjoyed those two books, or writing those books, because it really helped people to provide with tools that it helps them to acknowledge what current space that they're in. But I've also had the pleasure of creating a professional development for our high school coaches, where I help to increase that 90% matriculation. And so many of you know that I've been involved in education for a very long time, and athletics is a huge part of my life. But the passion is behind our young Black males. And so with my doctorate in sports administration and leadership, my study was on the African American males and the effects of athletics on their educational plans. So as you see, my passion is my drive is to make sure that our young Black males are being productive and that they're provided with the tools that they need to be successful, not just while they're in school, but lifelong. And so Brian and I, we both strive to be very productive in the Black community. And so that's what the B.L.A.C.K podcast is about. It's about making those relevant connections. So again, we want to thank you for coming and tuning in to the B.L.A.C.K podcast. My co-host here.
Yeah, Brian Street. Hope you guys are doing well today. I'm feeling really good. I pulled an all-nighter after working out like crazy. And then I went to my mom's and I did yard work. So like this thing is just going right now. Like it's just going. And I'm just so excited to be here today, to be with the guests that we have. But as many of you should know, others of you do not, I'm the founder, CEO of Your Legacy Begins Now, a company that I really started to route everything that I do in life around. I developed it starting back in like 2013, but I made it official in 2018 to really serve as a funding mechanism, so to say. So I render services across the spectrum, from personal development coaching to website development, content creation, just really mentoring individuals in the entrepreneurship space to generate a certain amount of revenue, which in portion will go towards the development and sustainability of mentoring and leadership programs. And you guys are going to be hearing more and more about those in the coming months. But I just really aim to show our community, specifically the Black community, that there's so much more to who we are than what we see in our immediate environment. So we love to bring these guests to you to be able to help you see that. And one of the things that I'm doing right now, and we're having conversations with some of our guests, is really pushing group economics within our community, learning how to support our own people, learning how to, keep that Black dollar in our community for a lot longer so we can take more of our piece of the pie when it comes to the economy. So that's enough about me. That is enough about me. This gentleman that we are bringing before you today is one remarkable brother. And I'm telling you, I look at him and I look at his day to day and I praise him. I'm so grateful to have met him. We need more brothers like him to serve as an example of what a Black man should be. So off that note, drum roll, please. We got Mr. Rome Johnson in the house. How's it going, my man?
How you doing? How you doing? Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
We really enjoyed having you on here. And just like Brian was saying, we started out wanting to celebrate Black fathers in the month of November. And then we said, okay, with December. And we just realized that as we started to, search for these phenomenal Black men, it was like, there's a lot of y'all out there and 1 month ain't gonna cut it. So we decided that we wanted to continue to celebrate. And I think a lot of times, we know a lot of times, Black men, we were always looked at as the best as far as being present and being productive and really being involved in their child's life. And so what I really enjoyed about you is that you have a unique story. You know, your story is not the same as everyone else's. Nobody's story is the same, but you know, the when I see your smile and I see that you're continuing, you know, you're pushing through each and every day, I know that is not an easy push. The pictures look easy, but I can't even imagine what you may be going through. And so I just wanted you to educate us on, you know, everything, your whole journey, you know. So we were just excited to have you here, and that you accepted our invitation to be on the Black Podcast. So again, thank you for that.
Yeah. And so I can basically take you guys back from the beginning, because that's really where it all started. So my mom, let me actually take a step back. So there was a point in my childhood where my mom was a single mom. She was single with 2 kids, and we were really just trying to make it. My mom moved a little north of Seattle to be closer to her job, doing everything on her own. So there were many a nights that, you know, I saw basically, like, I saw the struggle, like I saw, you know, what she was going through mentally, emotionally. And she did really well to keep it together, because not until, you know, we were older, it started, you know, we really started internalizing like actually how much she had to sacrifice. And so my, you know, father wasn't present a lot growing up. And I just knew, you know, when I was going to become a father, and when I was going to take that route and go through that journey, that I was going to be so much different than what he was. And basically, like, I used, you know, everything that I thought I should have received as a child and I didn't. You know, it's kind of like the blueprint. And you know, fast forward later, so now I am a father of a medically complex little girl named Kalia Joy, and she has a rare genetic syndrome called Pfeiffer syndrome. And essentially, like, the easiest way to put it is, so children are born with, you know, soft spots in their skull. The skull doesn't really form together all the way until 2 years old. And so there's a whole bunch of development that happens before, you know, from 0 to 2, you know, just mentally, cognitively, all of that. Now, my daughter's, her skull was fused together in the womb. And so the reason why causes problems is because all the intracranial pressure in the head behind the eyes, it could stunt brain growth. It could cause issues with sight in her eyes. But like, one of the biggest things, you know, it's really a structural kind of syndrome. But one of the biggest things is facial deformations. So like, she has an extremely small jaw, an enlarged tongue. So like, she can't breathe out of her mouth or eat out of her mouth. So one of the surgeries she's had to have, in 11 months that she's been in this world, she's had 11 surgeries, most of which happen within like the 0 to 5 month period. But she has a tracheostomy tube that she breathes out of, with the ventilator as well. Now, this little girl is, you know, so strong. And the reason why I know that, like, love and support and prayers work is because before we left the hospital, we were in there for 5.5 months of her life. Before we left, she was on the ventilator 24/7. They thought that she needed to get to a better place with it before they started taking her off. Well, now my baby is off the ventilator basically like 8 to 9 hours a day, and she only has it at night to go to sleep. And that's only to ensure that, you know, her lungs don't close all the way, and there's, you know, issues with breathing when you're sleeping. So I said all that to say that I really took, like, you know, what was going on in my childhood, you know, being told that something would happen, never would happen. And I think, you know, this is actually a problem with a lot of Black households in general, is this feeling of, you know, vulnerability, you know, especially with men, this feeling of affection, you know, with some Black moms, because some, you know, I feel like as a Black mom, you're either super affectionate or you're not at all. And there's no middle ground. And so, like, you know, there are things that you don't learn, and there are things that I've had to learn kind of on my own, just through my own journey, you know, with my wife, and trying to become more self-aware of different things to combat all of those childhood traumas and issues. And so now my daughter's here, and I'm like, literally, I'm going to be at everything. I'm gonna give you the world. Like, you know, she looks different. And I say different because, like, everybody's different. Everybody's unique. But I tell her every single day, you're beautiful, you're strong, you're going to be able to conquer anything and everything. And I feel like that's something that, not even just Black dads, but dads in general. Like, we need to do a better job at letting our kids know that, yo, you can literally conquer the world and we have your back to do it.
And a lot of, we a lot of times we're not educated on, of course, all the things that we're never prepared, I guess, for things that life, may throw at us. And so when you when you talk about this, going back to how you grew up, and when you think about parenting, when you thought about your daughter having is this your first child, correct?
Yep, first child.
So when you had your first child, I mean, I'm not blessed yet to have a child, but I'm speaking it in existence. Okay.
Yes.
But when I am blessed to have a child, you have these ideas in your head, right? What you're going to be doing. And, I already got the track meet stuff, I'm going to be doing at the track meet. And I got all these, things I think I'm about to be doing. So when y'all decided we were, you're ready to have a child, and was it any signs prior to when she was born that you knew? Because I know they talked about it comes like there's a certain gene or something that may cause, and I can't remember exactly what it was. It was something like I forgot what they call it.
Yeah, it's FR2G. So I can't even remember
like
the
a
exact.
fibroblast or something they were saying. So was that something that was discovered early on in the pregnancy, or was it just like, da-da, and you're like,
Yeah.
huh?
The reason that made this journey so crazy, and I'm trying to like lose this shadow that's in the middle of my forehead. The reason why it was so crazy was because we had gone 37 weeks with everything completely fine. There was, everything on an ultrasound appeared normal. There were no concerns, nothing. And then one day, we are getting our last ultrasound, and my wife had extra fluid, extra amniotic fluid around, and they were just kind of like, this could be something or it could be nothing. We don't know exactly what it is yet. And so we had to do a series of tests. Mind you, this is about like 16 days or so, no, maybe like 22 or 23 days before she was born. All this stuff is happening. We ended up switching hospitals like the week before she was born. And like, to get all your paperwork and stuff to take it from one hospital to another, we ended up going to University of Washington, because they are the number one medical hospital in the state, from an innovative technology resources standpoint. It's where we needed to be. And it's let me preface by saying this. Like, so for one, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer. There have been so many signs like throughout this whole process, where God is reaching down and literally speaking to us. And we kind of just took a step back and just let him direct us, because he guided us to that hospital. Because the other one we were at, they found a problem, and the backstory behind this, and the reason why this, is really even, a sensitive topic to this day. The doctor that we saw knew everything that was going on, but she didn't tell us. So the next day, so after that, appointment, when they saw the extra fluid, we went in for a second opinion. This doctor saw everything, wrote it out in the notes. My wife and I then that following day visited her OBGYN, who just came in and was just like, I feel like I just need to give you guys a hug. And we're like, for what? Like, what's going on? And she was like, oh, you guys don't know. And we're like, no. And then she told us that our daughter showed traces of craniosynostosis. And we're like, what is that?
With that,
Like,
yeah.
we had no idea. And she was like, yeah, you guys should definitely go get a second opinion. But they were like, we need to schedule your C-section like in a few days. And we go get a second opinion. We meet with a genetic counselor. We meet with the delivery doctors. They were like, we've delivered, craniosynostosis kids before. We have everything we need to do a normal vaginal birth. And we have everything you need if, anything happens. And the fact that we were able to meet with the genetic counselor and she broke it down, like, we still, I guess to this day, don't know exactly like how the malformation of the gene happened. I don't know if we'll ever know, but they were able to prep us that week. So it was, it gave us a little peace of mind. And then the very next Monday, this was probably like 3 days later. So Kalia was born that week. And that Monday before, we met with this doctor that was basically like, you guys, we're going to have some extra staff with you guys in case that she stops breathing. He basically warned us that there's a good possibility that when she comes out, she's not going to be able to breathe. And as someone who's about to be a parent and you've just gone through this emotional roller coaster with these other doctors, and the guy sat down and he was just like, okay, worst case scenario happens, which I don't even want to put out there, but you guys can imagine what that was. How would you like me to deliver you the news? And in my mind, because my wife was like first and let him tell everybody else. And so in my mind, I'm like, dang, like, is this something I really need to worry about? And we, again, power of prayer, power of love. We went home that night. We cried our eyes out. Me and my wife cried our eyes out. And I prayed over Kalia. Like, I put both my hands over her in her stomach. Like, we both interlocked our hands, prayed over her. And like, I kid you not, this was the weirdest, like, I've never experienced anything like this ever. There was like this power energy shift. And like, cause Kalia is a kicker, even to this day, there was a power energy shift. And now like Kalia is just going crazy kicking. And it was weird. And like what we ended up finding out later is some of those pieces of her skull that were already sutured together had popped open. And so when she, came out, we went to Children's Hospital and they were showing us her skull and everything. They were just like, hey, like on the good news, some of these sutures popped open. So she actually does have some room right away for brain growth. And again, like the old, I guess, what used to happen to Fight for Kids back in the day, if you didn't treat it quick enough with that first surgery to give them, to relieve some of that pressure, it's similar to a pop can. You have all that pressure built up inside. When you flip the lid, it just releases. You don't do that quick enough. Like a lot of the kids with her same genetic number weren't making it. Like they weren't making it past a few weeks. So naturally, my wife and I are reading all this stuff, on WebMD, because that's all the research we have to read. And we just really kind of tried to just take it in stride and know that, okay, like literally God brought us to this point. He's going to continue walking with us. And then, it was, the stressful stuff still happened, but like each day got better. And, now we're today and she's sitting up and being off the vent for 8 and 9 hours. And she's doing all kind of things that her doctors are literally shocked that she's doing at this age.
And when you get to experience, God for yourself, it's just so amazing how, things can shift in your life. And because there's never, you're never totally prepared for something. It's amazing when you begin to pray how, you may not understand the full situation, but you start becoming, at peace with what it is, and so when you talk about your experience and you talk about, just that whole, I can't even imagine all the things that were going through your mind. And then here you are, because I know as a woman, when we look at our man, we look at like, you are the provider, you are the protector. I know you don't know what the hell's going on, but you just figure it out. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So do you feel that extra pressure as a man, just like, here your wife is looking at you like, help me, because that's our very vulnerable time and you have to put on your Superman. So how were you feeling during that time? Was it like, okay, can I be vulnerable or do I need to be strong or do I need, what was that part? How was that experience for you?
Yeah. For the first time in my life, I couldn't fake the funk. Like I was, I've always been the strong cousin, the strong brother, strong friend. Like that's always been me. And I feel like that's something that's ingrained as us as Black men. It's like, we always have to be strong. We always have to be tough no matter what. And so my wife was going through a really, really tough time. And, to kind of give more context to the situation, like, you know, between my dad not being there, like I have my own health issues. Like I have a rare liver disease that I live with. And so like I've always gone through things. And so when other hurdles come up, like it's not as big of a deal for me to jump over them. It's just like, okay, here's just one more thing. So when this came up, I allowed my wife every single kind of like piece of space to give herself grace. It's like, you be emotional, you know, you do what you need to do. And I like, you know, put on that tough, strong exterior, because when it, you know, there were so many moving parts that at the time we couldn't have both parents, you know, in this really like sad and vulnerable, dark state. And so I took on the role of, okay, I'm gonna handle everything on this end. You know, you go through whatever you need to go through. But you know, like I said, at the time, it's like my foundation just started cracking and couldn't be that, in all facets of life, I couldn't be that strong person I normally could, you know, because I only took a few weeks off of work because I was like, I will take my paternity leave when she comes home, not even knowing that it would be 5.5 months later. So I'm working through this, and my wife's on maternity leave, so she's up at the hospital every single day, and I'm FaceTiming in, because then, you know, now it's COVID too, and only one person can be there at a time. And so I like it. It really, really ate me up, and it wasn't until found therapy, which, you know, I've always wanted to go to therapy. Like I've always needed therapy, and I think, you know, a lot of us, you know, should go to therapy. And I got my groove with that, and things started to get better. And then, you know, we had the time where my wife was now on better footing, and now she can be strong for us. And I can kind of take that, you know, emotional, vulnerable backseat. But really, my letters to Kalia that I wrote on Instagram, that started out as my therapy. Like that, I was just sitting back one night, and I'm just like, I have so many like words, and I want to scream, and I want to cry, but like I can't make myself do it. And so I just put the pencil to the paper, and like my very first few letters to her, I'm like, you know, I'm gonna write her a letter as if, you know, this sounds morbid, but as if I'm not gonna be here tomorrow, you know, because I want her to know every single day and every single week, like how much her dad loved her, and how much, you know, how excited he is for her to be here, no matter what she's going through. Um, but yeah, it like a lot of, you know, sorry to keep jumping back and forth, but like with my liver disease, when I was 18, like they were telling me that I may not make it to 40. So in my mind, you know, that kind of prepped me to be like, my life is most likely going to be shortened. I don't know how short, but it's most likely going to be shortened. And so, you know, thinking like now I'm in my early 30s, and I'm thinking like, all right, with all this stress coming on, like this is how things start to happen. And so I just, you know, wanted her to feel that love insulation. And like literally, I never wanted her to question, did my dad ever love me? Did my dad ever want me? Because all the above.
Man. You about to make my eyes sweat a little bit over here, man. But you know, one thing that you see in the Black community, the statistics, and I know, you know, based off of my research plus the research of people that I really respect, the numbers aren't as lopsided as far as single mother households as the statistics say, because of how they calculate it. But the pure fact of so many young men growing up without that father figure in the house, sometimes it can be difficult to process those emotions. I'm thankful to say that I had my father in the house the entire time that I was coming up. The relationship wasn't the absolute best, but I did have him there. But at the same time, I was always an emotional guy. So I'm looking at myself going through what it is that you have, that is your life. Like I'm looking at myself going through that and listening to where you say you had to be strong while your wife processed through her things. And then whenever she was able to be more, you know, hands-on and such, you were able to get your therapy. Now, I would like to revisit that just a little bit, because I have a good brother in New York. He's a therapist, a Black therapist, and he has a brand called Black Men Need Therapy Too. And he really pushes Black men getting therapy because so much of our history, not even directly to our family lineage, but our history, period, has us traumatized. And we don't know it. We don't realize it until it's too late. So we have to be okay with going to therapy, with getting the help, and understand that it don't make you weak. It
Right.
makes you stronger because I'm doing something to strengthen myself. So, I admire you for that, and for speaking on that because it just serves as an example. And I'm in the social work field myself, so I see the importance of it. Having that someone that you have a way that you do your letters to your daughter, so that's an outlet for you. But at the same time, having that someone who you don't have to worry about them saying, "Oh, I can't handle your baggage, like that's just too much for me," because most people that's too much for them. But being able to go to someone that can take that barrier off of your shoulders, that weight off of your shoulders, at least temporarily, until it's time to come and make another visit. What was your initial? You said you had previously you had wanted to go to a therapist. So what got you into the mindset of wanting to go and see a therapist? And what was that initial um, meeting, that initial process? What did it look like for you?
Yeah. So the therapist I actually went with was a therapist that was provided by Children's Hospital. So she, for one, was very in tune with speaking with like medical families, and how to kind of navigate it. And on the flip side, like she has a background in trauma, so it was easy, once we kind of like met each other, it was easy to let go and let her know like this is what I've been going through since my childhood. And to be completely honest, like the reason why I wanted to go to therapy was because like my liver disease like has such a hold and like control over my mental that like all this stuff that you're not supposed to do, I do. Like there's the comparison, there's this feeling of being alone, like all these different things that I'm unable to kind of grasp on my own. And I just needed to know how to navigate it. And so, and I think the biggest, thing is, and it's so crazy. Like one of the things she had me do was she was just like, you know, did you apologize to your younger self? Like, and by apologizing, I mean like apologizing that you didn't have to carry this baggage and that like everything was okay. And like I tried that exercise and I was like wow,
That,
like I feel
that's
the
what it
power in it.
is. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah.
And then with my dad, because like me and my dad are actually like on really good terms now, but we had a few, the few come to Jesus moments. And of course, like everybody's seen the Will Smith talking to Uncle Phil moment. But like I feel like us as kids that did not have their dad around, like it's like, well, he obviously didn't want me because he had a chance to be here and he didn't. Like, and this is just even like after my parents divorced, like he could have still, made an effort, but he didn't. And so I literally looked at that and I'm like, I am effed up in all the worst ways. How do I fix this for my kids? And I don't know. Like I feel like it takes a self-aware person to realize everything that's going on because, I started questioning things and you know different things that were happening and different things that were told to me early, and it's just like, well, why can't it be like this? And so once you start asking questions, like especially to my dad when we had our last talk when my daughter was born, I basically put it to him. I was like, you have one chance. You ever disappoint her, you'll never see her again. Like if you ever do anything to her like you did to my sister and I, this it's a wrap. And so in his mind, he's like, you're right. He's like, I shouldn't have done what I did to you guys. Like I was in a bad place mentally, but he's like, but that's not you guys' fault. And it's almost like that whole like, that's what I needed to hear thing. And so literally therapy is now like helping me have all these conversations and like, letting go of that one you know, if you use the onion metaphor, it's like it's allowing me to peel back one layer at a time so I can get to the place where I, you know, where I need to be, where I don't have all this baggage holding me back. And so the very first therapy session I had, I mean, I dropped a bomb on her. Like, I was just like, yo, this happened. This happened in my childhood. Like, I'm like, I know I do this because of this, but I don't know how to fix it. And she was really impressed with how aware I was with all, like, you know, my limitations and everything. And I'm just like, I listen to people. I may not necessarily know how to address and fix what, you know, what you suggest I do, but I'm at least open and willing to put in the work. And so I think that's what really helped blossom our relationship, because she knew that I was here and ready to put in the work. Because I do feel like there are some people that go and a therapist can tell them to do X, Y, Z, and they're like, I don't know. I'm not ducking from it. I want to be better. I don't want my daughter to ever have those feelings. And, you know, that's really what it is everything I do is for Kalia and our kids coming after Kalia.
Yeah. And like you said, you know, when you talk about counseling, especially in our Black community, you know, we're taught to just rely on just praying and just moving on, you know, just forget about it, just keep going, and you just keep covering it up. And so I remember when I went to counseling, that was one of the exercises that she talked to me about, because I had lost my brother. And for so long, it was a weird feeling to me, because you go through this stage of blaming yourself. You know, what part did I do, and how could I fix this, and what could I have avoided? And, you know, you have all these thoughts and things going through your mind. And so that was one of the exercises that she gave me, was to forgive myself. And it took me almost 45 minutes just to say to myself, you know, that I forgave myself. And it wasn't easy. You know, we forgive people all the time like this. You know, I forgive you. You know, we tell them, I forgive you. And then here it is. You would think that's the easiest task to forgive yourself. It wasn't. That's not an easy task to do, because sometimes the pain that you have placed on yourself. You know, it's our own thinking. We talk about comparing, and you talked about comparing. When I think about your situation, or I think about you, and we talk about that struggle of comparing, because we live in a very shallow world where everything is about image, you know, well, what was, you know, people thinking about, well, what was wrong with Rome? What's wrong with his wife? What happened? You know, people start creating their own freaking damn story and thinking that they know and they don't know. You know, it's just like COVID. People, oh, you can't catch it at the club. You can't catch it in the pool. If you get on a plane, you can't catch it and all this stuff. People just start making up all this damn stuff, and they don't really know, you know. uh, did you have to experience that with you and your wife, like people just trying to figure out, or you feeling like there's a blame, or, you know, tell me about that part. Like, did you ever feel like you were blaming yourself for it? And then the other question is, you know, because we live in that shallow world, have you experienced that side of other people, you know, like what's going on, or what, you know, and asking you, or feeling like, have you gone through that yet?
I've I've honestly only really gone through that like with my disease stuff, because it is invisible, you can't see it, and really like I, it's almost like I'm the best actor in the world, because most of the time nobody knows how I'm actually feeling, because I have to present myself in a way like, you know, I still got a job, I still got to go pay bills, and so most of the time I probably sound like I'm uninterested, and I probably look like I'm uninterested, but like in all reality, it's like there's so much, you know, fatigue and nausea and everything like behind these eyes. And so like I actually developed this, the reason why I'm like into like fashion and style and stuff like that is because I found out early that if I dressed a certain way, or wore something to where people would focus more on what I was wearing, they wouldn't ask me about how I'm feeling, and they would just detract from it. And so that's definitely happened. There's a lot of shallow people that will hit me up and ask like some stupid questions about her. And, you know, half the time you can't really tell if they're actually trying to be educated or they're just trying to be disrespectful. And so like, you know, I really have to kind of tiptoe around, because I can't just clap back at everybody, especially if their intentions are good and everything. But my apologies. What was the last one you asked outside of the shallow people? What was the other thing you mentioned?
Did you ever feel like you went through like a blaming, you know, where there's ever that feeling of something maybe you feel like you did wrong, or you and your wife feeling like, you know, um, something y'all could have avoided? Are you guys was just like, it just happened to be us? How was that feeling?
Yeah, at first I thought for sure it was me because again, like my liver disease isn't genetic. Like it just happened. I don't know how it happened, but it just happened. And so like there were so many feelings that this came from me, and it was really hurtful at first because I'm just it's my fault why my daughter's literally going through all this stuff. Like it wasn't easy to sit with. And then, I started educating more and understanding that like the randomness of it, because it's super random. And then it took me to the point to where like, like I said, like things started getting better and it just hit me. I'm like, no, this didn't happen because of something we did. Like God blessed us with her because we are equipped to be her parents. Like I honestly believe that we were specifically chosen to be her parents
Yeah.
because of, everything my wife and I have gone through, just all of that. And so, um, yeah, like we just think that would be it. Like, yeah.
So what's your mission now? Like what you're doing? Because I know that I don't remember if you said you had like a foundation or organization that you're trying to put together or a mission. So where are we at now? Now that you're here, this is your life. This is not just an experience. This is your life. This is your journey. This is your story. Where are you doing with it now? Where are you going with it?
Yeah, so two things. So first and foremost, yes, we are creating a family foundation, the Vital Five Foundation, and basically we are educating, bringing awareness, and supporting families and children with medically complex kids. So just in this whole entire journey of going through what we did, there were a lot of people right away that rallied around us. From a prayer standpoint, from a community standpoint, from a financial standpoint, because quite frankly I, I was like, I don't know how we're going to pay this because in the first 5 months of her being in the hospital, we were close to $1 million in bills um, generated. Yeah, right. And so I'm like, I don't know how this is even gonna happen. And so my friends, like my support group is so strong. Like friends I went to high school with, they rallied around. They created a GoFundMe. They were actually setting up a 3-on-3 basketball tournament for her to raise money for her. So like I got some dope people, in my corner. And so we were just thinking, like, not everybody is blessed to have that support that we had. And we're building a platform now because apparently like black dads that are vulnerable are unicorns because excuse me. And now we have a lot of eyes on our pages, and we want to use it for a good cause. And so we are going to be actively, once the world opens back up again, going to be actively doing events where we can fundraise. We're going to be doing like webinar style events with doctors to let people come in and ask questions. We are also going to have a storytelling platform for other families and other individuals that want to speak out, because like I want people to feel like it's okay to like speak out and ask for help, because especially in our community, like the pride is so real that no one really wants to even ask or like let their business. And so my wife and I made a conscious decision that when Kalia was born, we're going to do everything that we would do if she wasn't dealing with stuff. So we're going to post her on Instagram, we're going to go on trips. And so the fact, again, that we're so blessed, we want to continue to spread that message and spread that blessing. And another end of it too, the other end of the spectrum, is start having, open conversation to normalize this stuff. And really, like, I use normal loosely because I hate that word, because there's no such thing that's normal. You know what I mean? Like everybody's unique. Everybody has a different experience. And so my daughter may look different, but she's her. That's her normal. And I want people to feel comfortable coming out and saying it, because all the DMs that I get tell me and explain to me that there are so many people that are hurting out here that don't want to talk about it because they're afraid of who's going to say what. They're afraid of, putting all this light on their family. And so instead they almost like alienate this child. And, in my mind, like I could never, like, that's similarly to how I felt, like, even, like yeah. So we want to make sure that we're delivering for people and using our platform for good. And even with some of these businesses too, because there are a lot of like corporations, especially like their accessibility rules aren't necessarily up to date. So, you know, someone like me with an invisible disease, like I'm kind of shit out of luck in a way. I'm sorry. Can I say that? Can I say, okay, I'm out of
You
luck.
say shit, down, whatever you
Okay.
like.
Yeah, I'm kind of out of luck because like since it's invisible, you know, like I'm not gonna go get a doctor's note for the next 40 years. Like, but you just gonna have to trust that I'm going through something and it's hard for me to get out of bed, you know. So I just want to make sure that we literally start these conversations because the way to a better world, I feel like, is, you know, open conversation, open dialogue, and support.
Yeah, you know, so much of what you're saying when it comes to the circumstances that you're living under with the diagnosis that you had from a young age, and then having your daughter going through what she's going through, it's like, you know what? I got to live for the day. I got to make the most of today. And so many people, you know, me being a coach, and I know Dr. Sherelle being a coach as well, we always go out and we tell people to, tell people to set these long-term goals, like where you visualize yourself being in X amount of years. Some people need to concentrate on today, because if you don't take care of business today, eventually today or tomorrow will become the new today. And if you don't take care of business in that today, you're never going to move forward, and you're never going to enjoy the time that you're in. One of the things that I would really internalize from my studies in the social work space is really being in the here and now. Like whoever is in front of you, whoever you're sharing your time with now, share your time with them now, because they are here with you right now. And whatever issue over there in the future, in the past, that's not your concern right now. Be in the here and now, because you never know when that's going to be that last moment you get to have with that individual at that capacity. So it kind of makes me feel like you are, or you have the right to be like, to hell with what's going on out there. I got to enjoy this right
Yeah.
now. And it's to a certain extent, it feels a little liberating while at the same time being frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that double-edged sword where, like, I mean, I got to take one edge, so let me just take that baby and run with it.
Right. And like you said, it's just, you know, because some of these claims, again, like the whole corporate America thing. I mean, we know how these big companies are and operate. And when I start speaking out about this on larger and larger platforms, it's eventually going to become an issue, maybe at my corporation. But like I was literally just telling my wife, because this morning on the interview, I mentioned that same thing, that some of these corporations aren't built for true accessibility for everyone. And she was like, you probably should tell them to cut that out because, you know, your employer might have a problem with it. And there was a brief moment of where I'm like, you know, you're right. And then it just left my mind right away. And I'm just like, if I'm gonna stand on a hill and stand on a cause, this is gonna be it. And if that's, you know, if that's what happens because, you know, I didn't feel like I had everything I needed there, you know, then I'm gonna keep pushing. And this is, you know, I'm a vessel. God is using me as a vessel to bring awareness for stuff. And I'm gonna just let go and let him.
And that's the thing. And I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna give you the mic. I'm gonna let you go, Dr. Sherelle. But you know, that's the thing. So many of us in the Black community, and I'm just gonna throw it out there, we're afraid of massa. We don't wanna do nothing that's gonna make him look at us the wrong way and, oh, you fired now. We don't want you around here. And that's one reason why we're pushing what we're pushing, because we have to start to own ours. We have to start to teach ours. We have to start to hire ours. That way we can be the ones that are, you know, whatever level of the ladder you're on, it's one of our own. And it's going to take a minute. But the thing is, so many of us are too afraid to be the first, that is pushing back the time frame that is going to become more of the mainstream. And it takes individuals like you to be like, you know what? Yep, they might not like that I go in that direction, but you know what? This is the hill that I chose to stand on, and I'm going to shout to the mountains.
Yes.
And we have to not be afraid to do that. And I'm telling you, I had a conversation earlier today with an associate, and she went onto my Instagram page and she was like, So I'm just a little confused. I know you do this type of business, that type of business, but it seems like everything that you're focused on is like, for the Black people, like, yeah, yeah, that's not that I'm ostracizing anyone else, but that's where I see my value is going to be most worthy right now, and that's my people. So yeah, man, I really love when we're out here and we are standing up for the fact that we know the systems that we're operating under were not designed for us. They were not designed to put us in the forefront. And it takes someone that, has the balls, so to say, to be the one to say, you know what, this ain't right. And I don't care what you think, I'm gonna tell you this ain't right. And we're gonna have to talk to someone. We're gonna have to, shake up the situation. But somebody's gonna hear and something's gonna happen because I'm not sitting with this. And I love the fact that you brought that up, man.
Thank you, thank you. I mean, I just look at Colin Kaepernick.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what a lot of us should like look up to and realize like the impact of what he did. He literally is like, I'm standing on this hill and I'm a kid no matter what, because I'm a vessel for this message and I'm gonna keep doing it. It doesn't matter what you guys do over here. We know it's not fair. You just proved me correct. And so I'm just, not that I could be him, but I'm looking forward to, my own journey and stamping my own way.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I'm just so, when you talk about, uh, just, it's about at the end of the day, just living your truth, and when we look at love and we speak about all these things and, we can have all this money and all these things, but the only thing that you truly have is your truth, and I know that when we are in line with the truth and what the truth is, and knowing that He is our provider, that He protects us, and that He guides our life. He tells us, I have a purpose and plan for your entire life. So He's already planned it out, And sometimes that's a hard thing to just totally just be like, okay, God. But when you finally do it, you're like, dang, I should do this a little bit earlier,
Right.
But it's still a journey. And that's what I love about having a relationship with God, is that He allows you to still have your journey. You're still allowed to question. You're still allowed to feel the way you want to feel. Sometimes we feel like we have to just be like, God gonna make a way. I'm going to sleep in peace. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to have questions, but when you can plug back into your source and know that, he's already shown you and just in your journey alone, that He has you covered. And so I know that we're just very grateful for you. And I just wanted you to tell you personally, just from a woman's perspective, I honor you. I am grateful for you, and I truly appreciate the fact that you're just you, and that you're not caught up in, you know, the worldly things and worrying about people and what people may think, or I really admire that about you, because even though I may not be experiencing what you're experiencing, I can take your life and I can apply it to my own, and I can say, wow, I mean, it makes you look at your own, what am I valuing right now in my life that's probably not as important. Like, you start looking at things from a different perspective when you have real life things that come up. What can I take away from my life right now, or what am I focusing on right now that's probably not as important? So I do want to tell you that, we do appreciate you here on the Black Podcast, but I wanted you to know that, as a woman, I truly look up to you, and I'm so grateful and thank you for your truth, and allowing us to see, uh, God work through you, because it gives us hope. And like I said, I'm almost 40 years old. I'll be 40 next year. And so I always hear these, well, girl, you better hurry up. And, your chances of this is high. The chances of that is low. And then you start freaking out and you start having all these things. And you're wondering, what kind of pills should I be taking right now to make sure this and make sure that. But I just thank you for, giving me that hope and letting me know that, hey, it is what it is. When whatever God's plan is for your life, that's what it is. And that He's already equipped us to deal with the cards that we're dealt. So I do thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I really, really appreciate it. Like I said, like anytime I can come share the story, try to inspire, like I definitely do. And like I said, like I'm a vessel and I want to continue being a vessel. So whatever happens, just remember that when you do something, it's because you were supposed to do it at that time. Like it's literally always on time. Like I really, really believe that.
Man, I want everybody just to pause um, and just look at the joy in this guy's face. Like look at the smile as he talks. And that's a testament to the fact that you have your own personal relationship with Christ. Like you have your own personal relationship with your creator. You're not allowing anybody to tell you how to speak, how to pray, how to have that conversation, how to understand what you're going through and why you're going. You're not allowing anybody in this physical to come in your way. And when you have that level of faith and connection, you can live that stress-free type of life, regardless of the situation at hand.
Right.
So I highly admired that. And obviously, um, part of that could be contributed to by the therapy. And I really, recommend anyone that has never been to therapy and that, just may want to just dig deeper into who you truly are. Go and, get you a session here or there. So, so thankful again, man. We're definitely going to be connected. I'm gonna be pushing everything out that you guys have going on. So let the people know where are some places that we can follow you. I know you mentioned earlier you had a big interview earlier today. So some things that we can be looking out for.
Yeah, so this morning we interviewed with the people at Good Morning America. We're going to be doing a story on their website and on all their socials, as well as ABC News's website. So really excited about that, talking about some of the same things we talked about today. But if you want to follow our journey, you can follow me on Instagram. It's probably the best place. It's ROMEJOHNS, Rome Johns. And then we also, again, started up our foundation, Vital5, 5 spelled out, foundation.org. This is, it's still very much in the infancy stages. We are soon going to be cleared by I'm speaking into existence, soon going to be cleared by the IRS to start taking donations and everything. So everything is up there fresh. But yeah, if you like,
what's the name of that one again?
Vital5 Foundation. So VITALFIVE and then foundation.org.
Good deal, man. Good deal. Well, a lot of people might not know, but Dr. Sherelle Hobson, she's the mastermind behind finding these awesome people that we bring to you guys. And I am never disappointed. And it's like she does herself up one every time. And, just thank you again for being the man that you are, because, and I sound like a broken record, but it deserves it. We need more like you.
Thank you.
Off of that note, any final words, Dr. Hobson?
No final words. I just want to continue to tell you to thank you. Am I muted?
Yes.
No, you're good. You're good now.
You're good.
Oh, okay. I don't know what's going on because it says it's not muted. But I want Mr. Johnson to leave us with one thing before you leave. And what is that?
One thing. I'm gonna be the cliche. You never know what anybody's going through. So like I just ask you guys to check in on your people. Like literally, how are you doing? Because that's just a generic question that can be generically answered. How are you feeling? How are you doing today? How are you doing right at this moment? Is there anything I can do to help you? Again, if we start this whole like kindness train, the world will change. I promise you. If you have more people that, can take themselves out of their own situation and check on somebody else, they're just going to keep the person you checked on is just going to keep paying it forward. So I would say that.
Thank you for that.
Yes,
thank you for that.
I love it.
Check on your people.
Yes.
Check on your people. check on your people. So again, Mr. Johnson, thank you. Blessings to you and your wife, and we'll continue to keep you in our prayers, and we'll continue to support you and share your knowledge and your media. So again, good luck on all your endeavors, and don't forget about us.
We won't.
Okay.
No, I won't. Trust me, I won't. Thank you. Thank
We
you.
look forward to your journey, and thank you again. We're going to put you in the backstage, and we're just going to close out.
Sounds good.
All
Thank
right.
you, guys.
Thank you again.
Well, we did it again. So we want to thank everyone for tuning in to the Black Podcast.
Yes.
Just absolutely amazing. I'm just lost for words. I mean, he said it all. So we're going to continue to push relevant content and bring, people of influence. He's a person of influence, whether he wants to be or not. He's influenced. He's inspiring many of us, those that have kids and those that do not. So we want to I thank him for that. So please make sure that you share this video on your social media, because you never know who may need it, and you don't want to keep information to yourself. So please make sure you share the video.
So thank you guys for tuning in, whatever platform you are on. Feel free to go back and watch the replay if you didn't catch the entire episode, because there's definitely a lot of information that you would love to hear and be able to pass forward. A lot of information, some things that you may not have been aware of. But until the next time, guys, same time, same place. Next week, we have another great one for you. Guys, it's going to keep on getting gooder and gooder. I'm just letting you know.
Gooder and gooder. Where you get your education from? Gooder and gooder.
That's a Southern education.
Better and more better.
That's it. So y'all have a great one. We'll see you guys next time.